Update: should I confront my friend? Original post: I'm in quite the pickle, and I could use some insights. This whole situation has my emotions all over the place, so I apologize if this is lengthy. For some context, I'm 26 male, my girlfriend, let's call her Lily, is 25 female, and we've been together for 3 years. The friend in question, Mark, is 27 male. Mark and I have known each other for about 6 years, and he's been one of my closest friends. He met Lily about 2 years ago, and they've always had a friendly dynamic. They joke around a lot and share similar interests, but I never thought much of it because I trusted Mark. In fact, I always believed that Mark was one of the few friends I could trust implicitly around my girlfriend. When I travel for work, which is often, Mark started hanging out with Lily's group of friends. Initially, this was discussed with Lily, and it was a bit unusual for me, but I chalked it up to him trying to expand his social circle and looking for new friends. After all, he had a tough breakup a while ago and has been trying to surround himself with positive influences. Plus, Lily's friends adore our relationship and have always supported us. I thought, what's the harm? Fast forward a few months and Mark has become a regular member of their group. Birthday parties, movie nights, Sunday brunches, he's there for all of it. Lily's friends and Lily herself have come to love Mark. He's charismatic, funny, and everyone enjoys his company. However, I started to notice that he was particularly close to Lily and another of her friends, Jess, 24 female. They'd frequently post pictures on social media, always sitting together at group events, etc. Once again, I chalked it up to them just being close friends. Lily had assured me that she felt no attraction towards him, and I don't have any reason to doubt that, but my issue was more whether Mark was being genuine. However, things took a turn earlier this week. Lily and I were out of town for a weekend getaway, and Mark attended an event with Lily's friend group. Jess confronted Mark because she felt he was being overly flirty with Lily, essentially fawning over her if neither of us was around, and his behavior was making her uncomfortable. To everyone's shock, Mark admitted he had feelings for both Lily and Jess. While he promised to set boundaries and maintain distance, he also took a dig at me. He said that I was a people pleaser and that I was too nice for my own good. He insinuated that even if I knew about his feelings, I wouldn't do anything, because I like being the nice guy everyone loves. Honestly, that hurt more than him admitting feelings for Lily. I always saw myself as genuine, and to have someone I trusted imply I'm merely putting on an act has shaken my confidence. Since he had started hanging out with Lily's group, we had gotten a lot closer, and he seemed more interested in getting to know me better. Lily and I heard about this from Jess, so I can't be entirely sure on the context, which is eating me up. I came home the other day and hung out with him, and he said nothing. He's continuing business as normal as though I don't know what happened. I'm torn now. I appreciate his honesty, but I feel betrayed. I want to maintain our friendship, but I also want to protect my relationship with Lily. She does not want to see him anymore and feels betrayed because we both genuinely believed he'd be a safe friend who'd want to hang out with her for her. To clarify, no moves were made. But Lily mentioned he had asked a lot about our relationship when I wasn't there at the social events, and I'm left wondering what he might have done if we were in a rough patch. But that's all speculation. I'm seeking advice on how to handle this situation. How do I approach Mark? How can we rebuild trust, if at all? And am I wrong for feeling like Mark's comment on my nature was a low blow? Geez, you really are a people pleaser, lol. Maybe stop hanging out with a guy who insults you and is trying to get with your girlfriend. LOL. Good point. But don't you appreciate his honesty behind your back that he then lied about? Geez dude, get some therapy. A little rude. This is something I heard about from a secondary source about a friend of 2 years. At this point, I hadn't even heard his side of the story, which is how miscommunications happen. I confronted him and blocked him. But if you think waiting to be sure someone actually said something before going nuclear is grounds for therapy, you're at least paying to keep a therapist's lights on, or should. I mean, he isn't wrong about you. You are chronically a wet noodle doormat from the sound of it. He declares his love for your girlfriend, and you hang out with him and say nothing? Where are your boundaries? Calling someone out after the fact one time in 10 and it going nowhere isn't boundary setting. This guy is a user and needs to be totally excluded from all of your lives. But you also need to work on yourself. Being conflict avoidant and having no boundaries are not positive traits. This is only fair to an extent. I posted this after hearing one side of an event I missed about a friend of mine for more than 2 years. In hindsight, sure, like maybe I was too forgiving. But how would you feel if you went ballistic on a friend without knowing the full context and you were wrong? I took 2 days to consolidate information and come up with objectives for a confrontation so I knew what I wanted, and when I would just call it quits. I confronted him 2 days after learning about this and have never felt happier. Your answer is to not worry about being a people pleaser or upsetting Mark, because clearly he is not worried about upsetting you. You don't have to be mean, but you should definitely not pretend that everything is fine either, because it's not fine. I would just go to Mark and say, "Hey, Jess told me that you guys had this conversation and that some things were said about him having feelings for Lily. Honestly, it doesn't seem to matter if he likes Jess, correct? See what he says. If he doesn't mention the part about you not caring because you're a people pleaser, bring it up and say that it made you feel uncomfortable and made you question your trust in him. And go from there. No one can tell you what the outcome of that conversation is. You have to have the conversation and then reflect on how it made you feel. It could be the end of a friendship, or it could be that new boundaries need to be in place. Either way, you need to make your feelings on it known." Thanks for this. I confronted him immediately after and have the update post up, but this really helped me decide what I wanted out of it. First update. Firstly, thanks to all who weighed in on my last post. Your insights were incredibly grounding during this whirlwind of emotions. Here's the update on confronting Mark. After gathering my thoughts, I texted Mark to address the situation. He played it down massively, saying he didn't remember the conversation and was certain it didn't involve Lily. He tried to spin the people-pleasing comment, stating it was a reminder to respect my boundaries because I might not assert them. A weird explanation, given how the entire situation didn't involve me and Lily. But here's where things got even more tangled. 3 separate friends, including Lily, approached me at different points with an unsettling claim. They said that Mark had told people that I viewed my relationship with Lily as a short-term thing. This was utterly baffling to me. Not only is it untrue, but it's also a complete violation of trust. Why would Mark spread such a damaging rumor about me, especially when he knows how committed I am to Lily? I also confronted Mark about another lie from last week that made me look bad in front of Lily's friends. He admitted to the falsehood, but tried to assure me he corrected it the next day. After checking with the person involved, it became clear that Mark hadn't set the record straight as he claimed. Through all this, not a single apology came from Mark. He kept repeating that it was a misunderstanding, and the fact he claims no memory of such recent events is deeply concerning. Reflecting on our friendship, a pattern is emerging. Mark has always been transitioning between friend groups for as long as I've known him. I never thought much of it, but now it seems he rarely retains any long-term friends from these groups. Could this be a repeating pattern of his behavior driving people away? It's heartbreaking. Mark has been a trusted friend for over 2 years. Understanding that he might have been manipulating situations and spreading false narratives about me is gut-wrenching. I've shared everything with Lily, and she's backing whatever decision I choose to make regarding Mark. It's hard to reconcile the friend I thought I knew with the person he's revealing himself to be. Any advice on navigating this would be greatly appreciated. It's a tough road ahead. I am not going to talk to Mark anymore, and I might let him know beforehand. Reading all of this again makes me feel comfortable in that choice, but in the moment, I'd wondered if he was right and if this wasn't really a big deal. Dude, aren't you afraid being such a wuss about this whole thing could make you look less in your girlfriend's eyes? This guy has been caught lying about you and hitting on your girl, and your biggest concern is his feelings? What? Okay, you have a point here. Bro, the dude's a freaking snake. Get him out of your life and the lives of your friends. Had a friend like this, and was like you. I blame my dad for turning me out to be a non-confrontational people pleaser. I let so many people walk all over me, and I just smiled like an idiot and took it all. I don't think it's what 100% caused my wife at the time to ditch the marriage and kids, but I believe it played a big part in it. My best friend at the time was doing the same as Mark, acting like my best friend around me, but talked trash when he wasn't. I'm pretty sure he fooled around with my wife at the time, but neither ever admitted it. However, I took that crap and smiled like a spineless jellyfish at the time. It took all that happening and a few other events to change my way of being the doormat, do whatever for whoever. One big thing that helped me was I took up boxing. I was always afraid of getting into a fight, but after starting and getting pummeled around a few times, it just clicked. It wasn't easy, but it needs to be done on your end. You don't have to turn into a grade A a-hole of the year, but you have to stand up for yourself. Not saying you'll lose your current girlfriend, but I'll bet she doesn't think that highly of you after what's happened. Kick that a-hole to the curb and tell him to buzz off. Who cares how he feels? He's a prick that's tried to get with your girl and talk trash behind your back. He's not your friend at all. You might actually feel good about yourself once you've done it. I hope it's resolved, since it's been a while from this post, but good luck. I did. Blocked his number and haven't talked to him since. Haven't felt better. Afterwards, I started realizing a pattern in our interactions that stretched back way before I met Lily. Luckily, she thinks even more highly of me after all of this, and I'm genuinely so happy to have someone who values my empathy. But she is beyond proud of me for refusing to take flack from him. Sometimes people feel the need to bring others down to make themselves look good, and you are Mark's target. Don't question yourself, it is a big deal. If you stay friends with him, you will be proving his point that you're too nice for your own good. Mark is a parasite, cut off his blood supply. This helped a lot in solidifying my decision. I realized right after posting this and talking with Lily that I don't need someone like him in my life right now. Hopefully he gets the help he needs, and thank you for the words. Now for the second update. Thank you all for your support and insights on my previous posts. I wanted to provide an update to shed some light on how things have transpired since confronting Mark. Post-confrontation, I have not spoken to Mark. Our last conversation over text was me expressing my deep-seated concerns, primarily about catching him in a lie just a week prior. He claimed he had rectified that lie by apologizing to Jess the day after. And when I pressed him on why he'd apologized to Jess and not me, the person he'd actually wronged, he evaded the question. Instead, he focused on producing proof of the apology, which he later said he must have given Snap or in person, which is an evident lie. His response to everything was downright baffling. He even suggested that Jess and Lily had orchestrated the confrontation, with an intent to drive a wedge between us. No remorse, no acknowledgement of my emotions. Ironically, he showed me a text he'd sent to Jess the next morning, indicating how enlightening their conversation had been, yet he claimed to have forgotten it. I chose text as the medium for confrontation because I feared he would deny everything outright if we met in person. I wasn't sure I could maintain my composure if he lied to my face. The whole interaction has left me reeling. I felt gaslit and minimized. I had secretly hoped that maybe, just maybe, he was mortified and didn't know how to face me. But his responses shattered that hope. Lily made an observation that really put things into perspective. Throughout the duration of our friendship, Mark seemed to perpetually float between friend groups, typically due to issues revolving around a girl. In one instance, he split from a long-term relationship, and in another, distanced from a group because a girl chose someone else. The only consistent friend he had was someone from Lily and Jess's circle. Here's the kicker: Mark believes they're dating, while she is adamant they aren't and has no interest in pursuing a relationship with him. She has since severed ties with him as well. I know the popular sentiment might be you should have seen the signs. And yes, hindsight is 20/20, but I genuinely believed in our friendship. It's hard to accept that what I perceived as genuine might have been contrived. Lastly, to address some comments that have labeled me a wuss or pushover. Empathy and trust in friends aren't weaknesses. I value relationships and believe in giving the benefit of the doubt. It doesn't make me weak, it makes me human. Everyone has their breaking point, and I've found mine. The silver lining is that he's now out of my life. I've realized that self-respect is paramount. I am fortunate to have someone as supportive as Lily by my side. She's proud of how I managed this ordeal, and contrary to some comments, values my empathy and perspective. It's one of the reasons we got together, and it's one of the things that makes me love her so much. If being nice made Lily think any less of me, Lily wouldn't be the same person or my person. We've had deep discussions about this entire situation, and she acknowledges the difficulty of such confrontations. Thanks for listening. Mark is history, and I'm striving to surround myself with authentic, caring individuals. Mark tries to play the long game. He gets in with a group under the guise of friendliness and needing camaraderie. But then he learns the dynamics of the group. He can't handle not getting what he wants, either a lady or being the ringleader, and starts carefully manipulating everyone against each other. If he can get Lily's friends to think OP is garbage, then in his mind, they'll talk her into doubting him, and eventually break up. He can swoop in and be her knight in shining armor. He is neglecting to realize that many people are actually good friends and care about each other, and can smell his BS from a mile away. So he jumps ship, doesn't learn his lesson, and does it all over again with a new group. He's never been a friend in his life. He's more like a cancer. What I don't understand is, how do you think this will work? You talk crap about someone who is supposedly your best friend to other friends, and then expect them to believe you? You've just proven to all of them that you're a crappy person who is willing to lie about your BFF. Yeah, okay. Like I'm going to let you be my BFF next. Once I confronted him and saw how he reacted, any doubt left my mind. I know I didn't explain the whole situation well enough for some of these folks, but the people coming after me don't really get how this type of person operates pretty imperceptibly. Like I get that I should confront this when I see it, so I did. But when I heard about it from Lily, who'd heard about it from Jess, I wasn't immediately ready to assume everything is necessarily true. It just sucks all around figuring this stuff out. Yeah, I don't get how everyone here is so unrealistic. Of course, you wouldn't immediately cut off someone you consider your best friend and trust completely over something that's said when you weren't there. In my opinion, it's also not a weakness to give someone the benefit of doubt until a pattern of disrespect emerges. At least you tried to do the right thing and he didn't. Some Redditors need to get off their smug high horse. Maybe I'm confused, but I don't understand everyone's reactions here. He stated that he's ending the friendship, but Mark has made himself part of Opie and Lily's friend group. He's potentially been spreading false narratives that Opie needs to figure out how to combat. Sure, he cuts off any contact with Mark. So then what happens when he goes to hang out with Lily and her friends and Mark shows up? How about if he tries to explain to some of the mutual friends what happened, but they believe Mark over him? Unlikely in my opinion, but it's definitely something I'd be worried about if I was Opie. What happens when one of Mark's lies, potentially a new one, potentially one Mark's already told, causes Opie harm? That's the navigating and rough road I interpreted him to be talking about. It would be one thing if Mark only was friends with Opie and Lily, but now there's a whole group of people involved, and that's much more complicated. Admittedly, I think that if Opie just talks to the friend group, a bunch of them were already feeling uncomfortable about Mark, and they probably would drop him. But that's a lot easier to see when you're not in the middle of the situation yourself.